This temple has seen better days.
The high pyre remains intact, though. Built to last.
Let's see. Supplies. That's good. More orders. Huh.
What's up?
Drops will be assigned to specific teams and trained individually to deal with recent concerns.
That's boss talk for we're watching you because someone had their hand in the cookie jar.
Should be a drop somewhere around here. Another notice. Drops must be completed and all runners to safety before the next predicted flood.
This confirms they have a way to predict the floods, and some way to stay safe.
Let's stay focused on our runners for now. That's all of them.
3 supply drops. Not a lot of answers.
I believe I can help with that.
And if the R is with the numbers of false increment that just indicates spaces. Ah!
Got it?
Yes. I'll translate all that we have and we can discuss it with Casmin.
Good stuff, Lane. We need all the information we can get.
And valuable insight into post-surge society that developed here.
Well, Codebreakers, how are we feeling?
Satisfied. We have enjoyed reasonable success.
That's Lane's way of saying they crushed it.
Notes being passed between a brother and sister, quite candid, and dissatisfied. In particular with their boss, who they refer to as the Grumple.
The Grumple?
A Renlund myth, where ill-behaved children would be gathered up in a sack and tossed into the river to drown at the end of the year.
Bye.
The Grumple, yes. Renlund fables prominently featured drowning as a punishment for children. The myth has fallen out of favor in recent decades, though. Ren society is less forgiving of flights of fancy.
The Grumple. Really?
Really.
Moving swiftly on. What else did the drop say?
Remember that ominous note about tracking individually in specific teams?
From the context provided by our hauler, we now know a significant number of Hearthsiders survived the surge.
But only just surviving. They relied on the runner-hauler teams. But supplies consistently went missing. There is also a sense that the Enclave was getting increasingly dangerous for the Scouts.
The floods, of course.
With supplies running thin, the supply teams were falling under suspicion of stealing.
This pair responded with the entirely reasonable, if exhausting, plan of overperforming.
I've done that job, Lane. Sometimes you just need to prove the ass in charge wrong.
Indeed. They collected a cache of rare items they were planning to turn in when they felt its size and value would erase any suspicion.
Do we know if they turned it in?
No, but we know what it was. Or is.
And that's where I come in.
worse than materials, I'd say.
Kite shot.
Everything all right?
Yeah. There's just so much. Oh. And a letter. Encoded like the others.
Can't wait to work it out.
Alla finns ju för det ligger.
So, the letter. I'm prepared for bad news.
How did you know?
They were collecting supplies for other survivors. We know someone is out there. The supplies never made it to them. That, and the tear stains.
Is that what that was? Yes, well, there's a lot to cover. We have the cache itself and our scrounging siblings.
We should at least give you the high-level details on both. Where do you want to start?
Talk to me about the supplies.
They did astonishing work. If I weren't sure they're both gone, I'd hire them.
Indeed, a robust collection, including several enchanted objects we barely recognize.
They had a keen eye for things that could decay and took care to preserve them.
You two sound giddy.
If there's one thing Lane and I are passionate about, it's preservation of rare objects.
Were there any hints of more of these?
As far as we can tell, this was it.
It's impressive one runner could gather this much.
That's enough about the cache.
Sure.
What did the final note say?
Yes, right. It was a farewell. one sibling disappeared. The runner.
I thought the runner of the pair was the one we found.
So did we. But this last message was a farewell to his sister. Apparently the Grumpole...
Really?
I know. But apparently their boss had been ordered to stop wasting resources on the search.
And so our hauler left this farewell, hoping his sister might find it, on the off chance she was alive.
He was going to remove all their other messages so their plan wouldn't be found out.
We postulate he was on his way to do that,
When the flood caught him.
These people, however many are left, they've really been through it.
They might really need our help.
They're still organized and have a command structure, but it sounds dysfunctional.
Let's move on to something else.
Of course.
So, where do we go from here?
Good news. We compared notes with Dom. We found parts that will let us complete Lucia's thimble, from those schematics you decoded.
It has been a busy time. Solar will handle the assembly, of course.
I suppose the only other thing to say is, good job, Bryn.
Indeed. We have made progress in unraveling the shape of what the post-Surge society looks like in the Enclave. Further, these documents are invaluable to the historical record.
And maybe you put a couple souls to rest. Not to be sentimental.
ఎండింగ్ వచ్చినట్టుంది.
All right. Let's go over everything we know so far.
We know that, for a time after the surge, civilians continued to live in Denevron until they were forced to evacuate the city. We're still not sure the cause.
Wherever the Hearthsiders went, they're still actively sending scouting groups to scavenge for supplies. From the uniform, the creeper who was watching Bryn sleep belongs to one of these groups.
We also know that a defensive procedure codenamed Asylum sealed access to the Enclave underground. This was done using a barrier almost exactly like the Veil.
Lucia, an ex-high enchantress, opposed Asylum and began working on ways to sabotage it.
Her research forecasted that the barrier would cause the Enclave to flood with miasma. The very same flood that seems to have killed Lucia before she was able to finish her thimble.
But we have her design. It could disrupt Asylum's barrier.
So Lucia's thimble is the key to our survival.
It's less a key and more like a magical battering ram.
Whatever works.
What is it, Lane?
It's just, I've pored over all the documents we've compiled, and a concrete link between the evacuation plan and the underground is nowhere to be found. I can't shake the feeling we're missing something.
The Enclave destroyed a lot of information from their documents. Could that be why you can't find a link between Asylum and the evacuation?
I considered that. The Enclave may have hidden their location from Lucia.
Being a weaver isn't about being certain all the time. It's about taking calculated risks to carve a path forward. And regardless of the Hearthsider's location, disrupting the barrier is the only option to stop the...
You're right. I just hope that if we did miss something, it doesn't come back to bite.
Even if it does, we will...
That settles it. Bryn, it's time.
Thank you for your help with that, Bryn. You've a deft hand for flame magic. You can wear Sev's apprentice hat for one day. Also, Lucia knew what she was doing. This thimble was clearly designed to pair seamlessly with Enclave constructions.
Must be her experience as a high enchantress.
Based on Lucia's notes and what we discovered at the Bastion, this was custom designed to disrupt Asylum's barrier.
If it can stop the flood, we need to use it soon.
Agreed. We don't know how much time we have left. That console that looks like our scry should be the controls for the barrier. The thimble was built to interface with it.
Time to disrupt a site.
ఒక 2 minutes bro. Yep, resume. Yo. Yo.
Great timing. I owe you one.
You need to come with me. All of you.
We mustn't cause a panic.
Sure. It's not like we had a dire supplies shortage on our hands before this happened.
What do I tell the High Enchanter? The Guild will want...
Enough. We won't discuss this further. Not in front of our guests. Identify yourselves.
Aurea Harpenay, or Silverbeak, as I'm known among Weaver circles. This is my band, and beside me is our acting point.
Bryn. And you are?
Khan Stuneld, Eye of the Enclave. My colleagues are the Spindle and the Axle, representatives of the Enchanting and Crafting Guilds. Who sent you?
Sent us?
Tarza? Renland? Udea? The Enclave is the envy of the Maida for its magical prowess. Clearly one of those nations has finally grown a spine and decided to take it for themselves in our moment of weakness.
Moment.
No one sent us. We came here by accident.
What kind of fool do you take me for? You expect me to believe that you bypassed our veil, infiltrated our loom gates, and breached Asylum without a national power backing you?
When you put it that way.
This is a misunderstanding. We're Weavers, like you. There was a brief opportunity to enter the Enclave for the first time in decades, and we took it. Everything we've done since we arrived has been to uncover what happened here after the Surge. And to find you.
If that is true, have you really no inkling of the trouble you've caused?
No.
Your reckless conduct has unleashed an enemy that nearly destroyed us 27 years ago.
The Surgeborn. They first appeared a little over a decade after the Veil went up.
Where did they come from?
No one knows. But they arrived in the Underworks before making their way to the surface.
Where they left a trail of destruction in their wake and wreaked havoc on the Enclave.
Causing casualties to rise.
And so I called for a retreat here, saving countless lives. We sealed the Surgeborn in the Underworks for good. Until now.
We've been here a little while now. Don't you think all of this could have been avoided if you'd properly said hello?
She's right.
This is hardly our fault.
Look, Surgeborn or not, we had no choice but to remove the barrier. Though, I suppose we owe you thanks for warning us about the floods.
Who warned you?
You did.
Did we? I'll deal with you later.
While we can agree Arakin breached no-contact protocol, it has proven to be the right decision. The floods were growing worse, and now they have stopped. Even if fixing them has introduced a new problem.
One my band would be more than happy to help you solve.
Ha! Work together.
Sorry to interrupt, but you mentioned your last name earlier. Any relation to Shireen Harpinay?
She was my mother. You know who she is?
Of course! I mean, before my time, obviously, but she's still renowned in the Enchanting Guild. Her work is remarkable. There's a statue of her in Denevron, you know?
Oh. I can't believe she didn't mention that.
There is so much I'd love to ask you, but for now, Aurea comes from a long bloodline of outstanding and renowned weavers. Shouldn't that buy her band some grace?
Well, your presence in the outskirts will be tolerated.
What about the Surgeborn?
What about them?
Shouldn't we work together to deal with them?
We could use the help.
The Surgeborn are a problem for anyone in the outskirts, not us. Cassidon's Hold is a...
The scouts do head into the outskirts to scavenge for supply.
We'll take our own precautions. Speaking of, we have pressing matters to attend.
But
Enough!
Bryn, the one that led us here is clearly the one that warned us. Try to talk to him before we leave. Maybe he's willing to work with...
Will do. Hey, Arakim, was it?
oh,
Well, Arik, I never got a chance to thank you. You know, for grabbing me before I fell...
I think you had it. Besides, I couldn't let you plummet into a chasm. The Eye is pretty peeved with me, but hey, that's just...
You seem awfully trusting of us, considering the terrible first impression we've made.
I was spying on you the first time we met, so that's cool.
Sure. Maybe you know everything already then, but have you got any questions for me?
Just one. Why are you here?
Growing up, I saw the Enclave as a symbol of what weavers... After all, we have no home to return to, and we're pariahs in most nations. The more I realize how much your people have lost, I'm here to help.
That is exactly what I was hoping you'd say. If that's truly what you want, then dealing with the Surgeborn is the first. Ever since the Veil went up, our people have been in crisis. They've spent so long in it, they're afraid to do what it takes to get out. It doesn't help that some have benefited off that same...
Who?
Who always benefits. Our leaders are too preoccupied with their own concerns to form a unified front against the Surge.
Such as?
The Spindle is obsessed with getting the Arcs functional again. She believes that will help us regain... And the Axle is too stressed about our supply shortage right now. But, if their concerns were handled, they could pressure the Eye to finally address the Surgeborn.
That sounds like an opportunity. And are you a representative yourself? Do you have sway?
Representative, yes. Sway? No. I represent the Scouts, meaning I'm at the meetings, but I don't have the title to back me up. The Scouts were once points like you, but our role has changed since the Veil. We were effectively drafted into scavenging for food and supplies. It made sense following the Surge, but recently, we've even been separated from Cassidon's Hold. Anyway, it's the guild leaders who will need to pressure Khan Stanild into dealing with the Surgeborn. That's where my people need your help the most. Then we can start fixing the deeper...
Sounds like I've got some palms to grease.
Yuck. I'll come by your camp later. We'll be able to...
What is that about?
The Eye isn't one for idle chit-chat. That's what...
Talk to you back at our camp.
You got it.
Sev, you all right?
No,
You sure?
Rin, the rest of us are heading out. See you back at camp.
I got to go.
Excuse me, but Arakim mentioned you're the Spindle, a leading representative for the Heart.
Oh,
We wanted to formally introduce ourselves. I'm Aurea, as you know. This is Dom, our enchanter, and Bryn, our acting point.
We didn't catch your name earlier. Khan?
just call me Isla. Is there...
We'd actually like to help you. Apparently you want to restore the...
Shh! Not... Sorry, that sounds wonderful, but, the Eye won't be happy about us collaborating.
Pooling resources and sharing knowledge is hardly a bad thing. Why would the Eye be upset about us trying to help you?
I do want to fix the arcs. More than anything.
Okay. We'll try, but... forgive us of our excitement, Bubbles, so...
It's Dom. He's the one that might...
We know that the arcs began malfunctioning after the surge. A select few were even sabotaged. Any idea on what caused the other malfunctions?
Some theories, but nothing solid. Anyone who knew how to create arcs, let alone fix them, died before I was born. I've tinkered with an inactive arc that's lying near the Grand Gate. It would make a world of difference if I could study a resonance that was freshly harvested from a grate.
Consider it done.
Rin's got you covered. She has a knack for harvesting.
You'll have it in no time.
If you're sure, I certainly would appreciate it.
Right.
We've been talking a while.
Remember, Bryn, I think we need you to harvest a resonance from one of these massive arcs.
be enough to dispel her nerves.
Only one way to find out.
Bryn, I'm glad you're here. I need to talk to you.
What's going on? You look pretty tired.
Yeah, I'm fine. It's just... about those 90 Drake scales. I know Arya said we don't need them, but she just doesn't understand. It's dangerous out here, you know? Especially now that these Surgeborn are loose. We need to be prepared for anything. It's just gnawing in the back. Do you think you could do it?
Kaz, you need to tell me what's really going on here. I want to help, but the Weaver Band is okay. More than okay. We're in the best shape we've been in since we entered the Enclave. Now that we've made contact with the Hearth. Besides, the caravan it's not making
You think I'm insane?
No.
Era's breath. I shouldn't have brought this up, but you just don't understand. Everyone could die if I don't... It would...
Whatever this is, please just tell...
No. I shouldn't have burdened you, but...
Kaz...
I can't talk about this anymore.
Casmin is not okay. And I don't think bringing her more stuff is the answer. Hey, Aurea. About...
I know. I'm worried too. So let's talk at the archive, privately.
All right. Hey.
Yes. There's something I should have told you. So I'll just come out and say it. I was born in...
How is that?
Oh, luck. Or tragedy. Before I was born, my mother and father lived here, happily. But they decided it would be better if my mother raised me with my grandmother and great-aunts for the first few... So she left with me when I was just a hatchling. With every intent...
But the surge happened.
The life I should have had was lost for good. Because of all this, I never knew my father.
So, we're going to find out who you're...
You would...
Of course. Maybe Lane would have some ideas on...
Actually, The Spindle mentioned a stat. It's clear the Enclave commemorated their champions. I can't shake this feeling. My father...
You think there's a statue?
I know it sounds strange, but the handful of times that my mother spoke of him, she described him as... Since she was one herself. Is it so crazy to think she might have meant that?
Maybe not. I can scope out the statues in Upper Denevron for a resemblance, if that's what...
Good. And... It's safe to say Casmin hasn't been acting like herself. She's always been tightly wound, but this...
Bryn, she seems more open with you than most. Can you describe in detail what...
She's begging me for more supplies, even though the caravan...
Not that we could tell, because she's...
More than that, she just seems... distressed. She's always talking about worst-case scenarios. She's convinced we're all going...
I have heard rumors of abnormal behavior developing in Kashar that...
What kind of rumor?
In polytheistic beliefs that are pervasive in the southern part of the Maida, there is an affliction known as... The sufferer is haunted by twisted visions of... The goddess of justice, Ira, won't allow the sufferer inner peace until they repent through...
All right. Casmin is suffering.
And preemptively?
Hardly. This is likely nothing more than a condition that has been... A scientific explanation must exist, and thankfully, we are in the heart.
You think the Enclave could have done research?
Makes sense.
Well, the steps in the upper city is where I'd start. Between the main building of the spire and the atrium used to stand a school for From your explorations, the surge hit that area pretty hard, but some of the building may still be
Great.
Maybe the name of someone who suffered like Casmin. Or if you find someone like that, you'll want to search the areas of the city where they spent time. Ira's plague is wildly misunderstood across the Maida. If we could find a treatment, it could...
You're right. I'll start with... A resonance. Freshly pulled from an ark's pattern.
By the flames! You can't be... You know, great archons weren't built with patterns. They formed. Oh, this will propel my research fast.
What is this about?
Nothing.
Is that so? Then why is this rogue point harvesting archons for you?
This is just healthy collaboration between our people. What's wrong with that?
What's wrong is that you're pursuing a project that I have given my daughter expressed orders not to pursue.
The reason you didn't want me studying active arcs was because it was too dangerous to have, but Bryn offered to do it for me.
The reason I didn't want you researching arcs is because not as your father, but as the leader of the Enclave. This insolence, you will drop this obsession.
Hey, I can't be seen speaking to you about this subject,
But
I need to get back to work. Before Asylum, all the loom gates were reset so that the Surgeborn couldn't use them to continue spreading. How did you reconnect?
we tracked down a key swatch to Denevron. Found it in the mayor's hub.
Your band is quite resourceful.
Dom loves discussing magical theory. He would be thrilled.
But you know my father. No offense, but I should really... I really can't discuss the Ox.
Don't worry. I understand. I just...
Admittedly, I wasn't the most
Just know that when it comes to our Weaver Band, we believe that our contribution...
That's comforting. But that's in the past.
Oria's father is unlikely to be a Corsair woman. Besides, when it comes to nurturing parental figures, Ramenos's shrewd eye for politics isn't what comes to mind.
Discussion to clarify the meaning of no contact protocol. I am simply telling you, as the foremost leader of the Enclave, that I don't want...
Can you clarify what you mean by that?
You know exactly what I mean. Eyes, focus on your own problems. Organize your little craftspeople. Keep the wheels of civilization, and don't dare to presume you know better.
If you have a problem with my performance, you are welcome to gather feedback from the people. They may have a clearer understanding of what I...
We'll continue this conversation later.
Haroon, Karnatme. Allow me to formally introduce you to Bryn, the Weaver Band.
You're the Axel, right? Arakim says you're a good person.
I am. My given name is Haroon, as Arakim said, but you may it's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. Despite the circumstances, the new Surgeborn threat requires us to realign some...
If there's anything we can do to move things along.
What about the supply shortage? I've seen her in combat. She's...
What's her help look like? I'd prefer if she could avoid unleashing another apocalypse on us.
If it's supplies you're after, that's not a problem at all. Point me at 'em. I got strong arms.
incredible grip strength.
That's something you value. You may need to do a little more. There's a silver lining to this Surgeborn situation that we're suddenly in a position.
Count me in.
Right. With the Surgeborn unleashed, we're anticipating casualties and... However, there's a restricted area in the underworks that we lost access to decades ago when the an arcane laboratory where the Enclave conducted its enchantment research. Inside the Institute lies a significant supply cache. Its contents will be enough to keep us going for the time being. If the notes the previous Axel left me are accurate, though, they're...
Of course.
The Surgeborn secure territory by building structures. Akin to the Institute is likely overrun with them, and has been for 20-odd...
So, the Surgeborn are a long-standing threat.
I wish I were old enough to remember what it was like to live without the fear of the Surgeborn. As a child, I sat awake every night worrying about them. Knowing what I know now, I should have...
I'm sorry you went through that. It must...
Thank you.
All the more reason to actually do something about the problem, instead of spending our lives cowering behind the walls of our glorious fortress.
You'll hear no disagreement from me, now that the game board has been upended.
Sounds like I need to clear any Surgeborn hives from the Institute, then.
That'll thin them out enough that my scouts will be able to access the supply cache without much trouble.
Now that Asylum is lifted, we should be able to access the loom gate. I'm going to trust you with this key swatch. It's been gathering dust for over 20...
Only the Eye would let such a crucial resource sit there for that.
Yes. If we're clear on everything, I'll get back to work. Someone has to keep this goddamn fortress.
Bryn,
Hi, Zola.
welcome back. It's good to see you safe. Could we...
Of course.
I don't want to talk about the scales anymore. The Hearthsiders look more traumatized than a beast of burden.
What?
Well, I would think someone who grew up in the wake of war would wreck, disorganized and unable, suspicious of us despite our clear good intent. And while their leader is in deep denial, they've been stewing in turmoil for so long, it's become their new...
You're right. They do remind me of some...
Saw it 1,000 times over while working in... Aurea may not want to hear it, but these people are
What makes you say that?
Aurea has a case of hero worship when it comes to the Enclave. She can be... It's not to say great things didn't happen here. But at the end of the day, they're fallible.
Kaz, you know you can talk to us about what...
Nothing's going on.
You don't...
It's just... No one seems to understand how important the Ashpeak Drake skills are. Bad things are going to happen. You know what? I just can't talk about this right...
Sounds like your work with Ilo was a smash success.
Not exactly. She seems less willing to talk.
Yeah, I wouldn't be so sure of that. She sent me here with a secret.
She did?
Ilo wants you to go to the Archon's hearth. It needs to be at night, though. She'll sneak away from Cassidon's hold to gun. She wants you to collect Archon parts that may be hard to spot with...
I appreciate you being the middleman, Eric. Sounds like I'd better get...
Enjoy the trip? It is, but...
How are you settling in, Eric?
Good.
Just...
No, not really. Something's going on at the hold, and it's making the hairs on the back of my neck stand. The Eye publicly scorched you for opening up Asylum, and yet I've heard him telling the Spindle that this could be a good... Meanwhile, the runners are stretched paper-thin keeping supplies moving, which, of course, leaves my people no time to deal with
Sounds like you could use some help.
Really? No, wait, I know. The Spitfires. A particularly aggressive group seems set on spreading through... In particular, they're building nests in some areas I was hoping to use as training grounds. But we had to...
Would the areas be safe if I took care of...
Yes, though the nests are very durable. They will turn brittle if you get them cold enough.
Consider it done. Anything else?
Maybe an odd request. Could you ask Aurea if I could power the scry while you're tackling them?
Why not ask her yourself?
I feel like I have a lot to learn from Aurea and how she works with you. And it's strangely intimidating to admit that to her directly.
She is a force of nature. I get it. I'll ask.
When's the last time anyone saw her sleep?
It's been weeks.
Is that normal for a Kashar?
No.
You wanted to talk?
Mm-hmm. Can you...
Why all the mystery?
In a word,
About...
Sev. He's been acting strangely. Has been since we met the Hearthside. He's going there a lot in off hours. And he honestly looked dumb, of course. Stays up later than us and says he's often slipping away.
Have you asked Sev what's wrong?
I have. and he waves it all right. Sev has completely cut me off. But you know how I tease Lane for watching us all the time? Maybe that will pay off here.
You do? Yes.
Talk to Lane for me. I'm sure they've seen what Sev is doing, but maybe they also have a guess at why he's Okay, let's go back before anyone gets nosy. And if Sev asks, Blood Moon cycle. Not sure if Ram blush, but...
Hi, Aurea. I am here on behalf...
That's weirdly formal.
He finds you intimidating. Personally, I don't see it, but I thought I'd be extra polite for his sake.
He does. Good.
He's wondering if he could power the scry while I run an errand for him. He's hoping.
Happily. But feel free to tell him I was a bit scary. To keep him on...
Good news. Ori is absolutely willing to give you pointers on the scry. She joked I should play up her scary side, but honestly, she's an incredible mentor. You'll be fine.
I've coordinated lots of operations. A chance? I'll be there with you then, when you get close to...